Kevin. Thank you. Kevin, I've not been introduced to you before. Can you let us know, are you just visiting from the NAC or are you representing someone?
He is from Code Services and will be doing like a brief introduction.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. I didn't recognize the name, so I just wanted to do introductions. Part of my introduction is to welcome everyone to the NAC meeting, and any names that I do not understand or I haven't recognized before.
Sorry, I'm code compliance for the city, and I'm the code services officer that is assigned to South Beaverton. So I've got my laptop right here with Greenway's NAC meeting going, and this one here. So I'm double dipping tonight. So if I don't respond, forgive me. I'll jump in. Just I've got the chat up. Just throw a message to me like, hey, are you there? We're asking a question.
All right. No, that's great. Thank you very much for explaining that. Thank you for giving your time to join on that meeting.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
Okay, so welcome everyone to the NAC. I think everyone else, apart from Kevin, has been here before. And is it Elena? That's your name. Okay, Elena, I've not. I don't think you've been to our meeting. If you have, I can't remember. Okay. So, Officer Sanders, we only have 3 people here, but we're the important ones. So we'll we'll make sure we take copious notes.
Oh, right. I don't know if I have a whole lot of information. I was looking at the crime stats just today, which if everybody doesn't know, they're very accessible online, and there's quite a bit of information. I didn't realize until recently the amount of information that's on there. You can look at a call log for the whole day, any situation we wrote a report on is all cataloged. So there's a lot of information there. Anyways, long story short, I was looking at the stats, and South Beaverton is a very safe neighborhood overall. So it was encouraging to see that. The one thing that's been constant throughout the city is car thefts. They continue on a daily basis around town, not solely in South Beaverton, but continues to be a problem. So that's of note. The
Dave,
officers
I'm curious if you've seen any drop in catalytic converter thefts since the law went into effect in January about the reselling of them.
No, I haven't seen any. In fact, it seems to be just as rampant right now. I think it's going to take a while for that law to for the perpetrators to figure out the repercussions of that, and that it's not worth it to do what they're doing. So I think it'll take some time, but hopefully there'll be a trickle effect that will impact that. So I'll try to track it the next couple months and let you guys know. Because I'm excited to see that.
Is that a law in the state, or is that that state law? So someone could still take them across the river?
They sure could. Yep. Yeah. But it takes a lot more concerted effort. So.
Right.
And it was interesting.
Usually we're.
Sorry.
Go ahead. It
was interesting on Nextdoor. My wife showed me that there was someone selling it on Craigslist, buying and selling catalytic converters, and they had a whole slew of them all over the floor with a photograph. And I thought, well, that would be a little bit risky. I wouldn't, with having the new law come out, I don't know where he's getting them from, because it's not something that falls off of cars easily. So but, it was interesting to see.
Yeah, and they continue to try to steal them midday. Just this last week, I responded to one. It was like 5 p.m. right in front of the business. So they're unashamed and very emboldened still. So that's unfortunate.
Right.
Yeah. And then, not a whole lot going on at the department, I guess. We're going through our annual training. One of 3 different annual training session. So all the police officers go through the same training to retain their state certification on various topics. So we're kind of in the middle of that. It's just a 1-day course right now. But
do you know what your staffing levels are? Are you up to strength yet, or are you still?
Last I heard, I think we were down 7. So they've got a number of them in the pipeline right now to hire, it sounds like. But we're going to continue to have a lot of retirements this year. I think this year and next year. So if you know anyone that's looking to get into police work, send them our way. We'd love to talk to them. And yeah, we'd love for more people to apply.
And
maybe when I retire from Intel, maybe that should, no.
Sounds good.
Well, sorry, Mike, go ahead. I was going to ask.
No, that's fine. If you want to retire from Intel and join the police force, I think that'd be an excellent job.
Maybe Frosty can go on a ride along with me. But yeah. No, he's already done that. Sorry, I shouldn't joke about that. I did have a question on the training. So is there any sort of, like, you don't have to remember them all, so some of the topics that you get trained on? I'm particularly curious about, whether there's anything about, dealing with our citizens that are of other, racial, ethnic background, as opposed to, kind of the majority. So.
Yeah, so today's course, the first half of the day was diversity, equity, and inclusion training. So just talking about differences and how we navigate those differences, and just make sure we're policing in an unbiased manner and such. So there was a good half-day course on that. So maybe that kind of touches on what you were referring to.
Right. Okay, thank you.
And then this afternoon we had CPR and a DUI refresher. So there's a lot of drunk drivers out and about, unfortunately. So trying to keep those folks off the road.
Thank you.
Okay. So David, is that it? Dave, sorry.
Yeah, I think
okay.
so.
Any
Does
questions?
anyone else have any questions? Yeah.
Sorry. Oh gosh, I'm having so many connection issues. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Hi there. I just want to make, was there anything that I should pop in the notes? Sorry. I just want to make sure that I capture anything.
The session has been recorded. Maybe if we can catch up from that.
Sure. I can do that.
Yeah.
No
I don't think there was anything major. It's basically car thefts continue to be an issue. They're currently going through their annual training for their certs. There's still 7 staff down, and they're continuing with retirement, so they still need to get new people. So he was actively looking if you know any friends that want to join the police force. So
Got it.
They're looking for that.
Did you? Now I'm just curious. So the Beaverton Police Department is like down 7 officers right now.
Yeah, and don't quote me on the exact number, but it's about around there. Yeah.
Well, how many are there total? I guess that doesn't sound like that much to me, but I don't know what percentage that is of the whole force.
Yeah, so about 150 sworn officers.
Oh yeah, well that's kind of a lot then.
Yeah, it's a good percentage, but it's not uncommon to hire 6 to 10 officers every year. So
got it.
But
all right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And one question related to David's, are they doing ride-alongs yet? My son, who's 21, is really interested. He was signed up before COVID and it got canceled just before he got to go. So
not yet,
okay.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Officer David, Officer Saunders. Thank you very much for your update.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. So thank you very much for Station 66. They've joined. I'm very pleased to have you come back to our NAC meetings. And you're up next if you would like to give us an update. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's been a long time since we've actually been able to make contact with you guys. So it's good to be back. Hopefully sooner than later, we'll be able to do this in person again. just a few things, like the police department, we too are kind of in a hiring slump right now. So we are currently, we have 40 people due to retire as of July 1. And we're trying to hire to backfill those spots. And it's just tough to get people to apply. So we're kind of in the same boat. We're short staffed. We're working our tails off over here. But there's just some things I really would like to touch base with you guys about, and then I'll answer whatever questions you guys have. This month is Heart Month. So I'd like you to take back to your families and friends. Be very cognizant of the chest pain type of symptoms, shortness of breath, weakness, that kind of stuff. If you start having that stuff, please don't get in your car and try to make it to the hospital. Please call us, get us there, and let us start doing treating you with the available treatments and medications that we do have. So just please do call, don't hesitate. And then if you own a business, we have available AEDs, and I can get you guys a number if you want to have one of those in your place of business. I know that the police departments around here have been carrying AEDs, and that has been a huge game changer for us as far as the amount of saves that we've actually had for cardiac arrest. So a big thank you to the police departments around here. So the other thing I want to go through, it's dark, it's getting dark early. And so we notice a lot of people out there wearing dark clothing. They're out jogging, they're out walking their pets. Please encourage people to start wearing some brighter clothing, some stuff with reflective stuff on it. It's just dangerous out there. And we had a person cross in front of us in the fire engine the other day, and it's hard to stop 55,000 pounds on a dime. So please just start informing people to wear some reflective stuff. Huge help for us. And then I just want to kind of get into some of our safety tips. Again, please encourage people not to use barbecues, that kind of stuff inside your house, things that are off gassing carbon monoxide. As it's chilly outside, people are bringing this stuff in, they're using it for heating things, which is causing room and content fires. It's also creating some carbon monoxide issues for us. So please be cognizant of doing that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to hit anything on holidays because we've passed the holidays. That's a memory for us now. So if you guys have any questions, I'd like to turn it over before we get a call and have to rush out of here.
Okay. Thank you very much. Could I take your name just for our own records?
Yeah, my name is Sam. I'm a lieutenant here with Walton Valley. Been here 25 years, getting ready to retire myself.
All right. Thank you very much, Sam, for being part of our NAC. Any questions for Sam? Well, thank you very much for your service. We hope you don't get called out, but if you do, be safe. And thank you for your service.
You betcha. Thank you. Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you.
And thanks for coming out here. We really appreciate it.
You betcha.
So the next on the agenda is Tottenham Parks and Rec, and I know how that is always interesting. We have two people that will be standing in now. The person that we used to have has left and taken up a job somewhere else. So we have two people, Holly and Preston. But after sending out the agenda, they both offered their inability to come because they have previous appointments. So they sent me their notes. So if you can bear with me, I'm going to read them to you. So for those that live in the Sexton Mountain area, you may have noticed that the Highland Woods area lost all the fencing. All the fencing was taken down by Tualatin Parks. So all of the rustic fencing has been taken down because it was rotting out, and they will not be replacing them. They're saying now that the trees and the borders are established because of the bushes that are down the side, so they won't be putting them back. But they removed them because it basically gives better visibility for people going in and out of the park when they don't have the fences in front of them. So that was their
which one is this? Is this the one that's next to you there?
Yeah, it's the one next to us. Yeah.
The Cobb property.
Is
Okay.
it called
No.
Highland Forest Park?
Yeah, Highland Forest Park.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually down
the little
Sexton
sections
Mountain.
of split rail fence that were by the entrances. So
Across from.
it wasn't contiguous fencing along the whole edge of the
It was
park.
more ornamental. Yeah. Okay.
And there's not any on the 135th side of the park, so.
You want turkey? Well, I'm cooking more mac and cheese for you. Okay, go get it. It's in the fridge. You know where it's at.
Has someone got a radio on?
Go get it.
Or-
It's in the fridge. You know.
Oh, gosh, sorry.
Yes.
It's not the radio, it's Daniel Tiger on the TV. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So the update for the NAC, the Tualatin Parks, like everybody else, is hiring. We have lots of opportunities available, and they would like you to visit their website to learn more. Spring registration is coming. Save the date. Spring registration is Saturday, February 26th. So all the activity guides are online, and they run from March through to June. Planting time is here. Staff are planting trees and cleaning up several parks and trails. A volunteer now at one of our many one-day volunteer signups. And they said a special thanks to Central Beaverton NAC for their tree planting activity this month at Schiffler's Park. Spring native plant sales starts this month. Order online between February 15th and March 15th and pick up your plants in April at the Tualatin Hills Nature Center. There's a selection of more than 100 species of climate resistive native plants to help support the nature parks. So if you're interested in that. Preschool registration opens this month. Tualatin Parks are offering 9-month to preschool throughout the district. Registration is open for families for next school year and sign up now. So Lisa, I didn't know if you were interested in that.
Yeah, we're already signed up.
Oh, good, good. Middle school cross country and track coaches are needed. So we need volunteer coaches for the middle school track and field events. And you can see more about that on their website. Conestoga pool update. Repairs to the Conestoga are almost complete. We can't wait to welcome people back to the pool in March. So it looks like the Conestoga pool will be opening in March. Tree hazards, help us clean up and maintenance issues. If you see something, give them a call. I've got a number here if anyone needs it. So any of the trees in the park that look dangerous, you can give them a call and they'll respond to clean it up. And there's a new dog run for Ridgewood Park expected in 2022. Planning work is underway and they're in the design and permitting phase for a new fenced dog park at Ridgewood Park. And the construction will happen this year. So that's their update. So that gives you an update of what's going on within our area and adjoining areas. Any questions that I can take for them? No questions? Okay. Officer Sanders, while I remember, can you put on the chat line where those details that you were talking about earlier are? You said they're on the web. Is that possible for you to put it in the chat?
Yep, I will try to do that.
Okay, I appreciate it. I didn't mean to put you.
Yep.
I didn't mean to put you in a situation, but yeah, everything's on the web. You just got to know where to find it. So
Yep.
If you could do that, would be help.
Yep.
So City of Beaverton update, Elena.
Before I give my updates, Kevin, did you want to briefly go?
Yeah, real quick. I'll make it quick since I'm in Greenway's NAC meeting as well. And I'm not sure when they're going to call me, but I'm Kevin with Code Compliance. I'm the Code Compliance Officer assigned to the South Beaverton area. I currently have 4 NACs assigned to me. I have South Beaverton, Neighbors Southwest, Sexton Mountain, and Greenway. I'll be taking over South Cooper Mountain when that area is finished and sets up. Right now, the city is looking to revive some code that establishes some responsibility for businesses having the shopping carts leave property. So we'll have a storage location. We have a storage location set up for that. We'll be collecting carts around the city and bringing them to the storage location. So if you see carts, please report it to Beaverton Code Compliance. Don't call the police department. 1, they don't care, and 2, they don't have the time with all the other stuff they're dealing with to handle shopping carts. So call Beaverton Code Compliance so we can handle that. As spring approaches, people are going to start redoing yards and stuff. Please be aware that you cannot put landscaping materials or building materials in the roadway. It creates a big hazard, and then we have erosion control issues. There's runoff issues. There's also vehicle hazard issues. So just don't put stuff in the roadway. If for some reason you can't put it in your driveway, please let us know and we can work something out or figure out a solution for the issue. See if there's anything else.
I was hoping to plant a tree in the middle of my cul-de-sac, so you say I can't do that.
Well, you can't leave all the stuff in the street for it, but plant a tree if you want to.
It would be a bit impractical. I'd have to pull up some of the street to do it, but you know, occasionally I think about it.
I'd rather you not, but our city engineer might be a little.
So by the way, Kevin, just in all seriousness, I get confused about from when you talk about code compliance. This is specifically around, like, for example, code that, you know, leaving like trash out, or people are not mowing their lawns or collecting their leaves. That kind of code, as opposed to like building code.
Yes, we're at this time we're specifically municipal code regarding livability issues. So exactly, sidewalks, as you said, you know, tall weeds, grass, noxious vegetation, garbage in the yards, rubbish.
Okay.
All that.
How about folks that are camping in the area? Is that something that comes under your purview?
Well, it depends on where, and it depends on how. So if it's in the roadway, like in a camper on the street, no, that's police department. If it's in a park, that's CHPRD, and they'll end up contacting the police department. If it's on private property and they're staying in a motorhome in their driveway, we can handle that because they can only do that for so long in a certain period of time.
But camping in like an empty lot or something like that.
Yeah, we do what we can. There was a really nasty one right across from the new police department over off of Allen, and we did our best to contact the owner. We eventually got the transient population that was living there to leave because there were a lot of code issues with that. But we had to figure out who the owner was, and there was just a kind of a drawn out process. But eventually it worked out. So we can try. We can certainly try. Based on the code side, it gives also, if we have code violations, it gives police department an in where they can kind of go in and see if they have a criminal avenue of approach for that as well. But we certainly will try to help. Report it if you want. We're happy.
No. That wasn't it. It was more just. It's not always clear to me how all the various parts of Beaverton city government work, and you know, so I don't know that we have a particular visible problem. That's just, and I don't know that's always the best way to handle it anyway. But anyway, I just was curious.
Well, we're planning to make some changes at some point. We're hoping to bring on new code officers in the future and expand our. I mean, it's a very new program. Code compliance has been around for a while, but we're newly with the city, under City Hall. So we started that back in last January. So it's we're still working out the kinks. It's a new program with 3 new officers, and we are still learning. We're putting it all together as best we can. We've done a very good job so far, but we're still working at it.
Previously, was it just like county code, or what was it previously?
Well, previously was with the police department, and there were several officers that were working code compliance. They had a special team of guys that were, or folks going out there saying, not only were they handling Oregon law, they were also handling Beaverton city code or building code, or not sort of building code, I'm sorry, like the development code and stuff like that. So they were doing code cases when they could be arresting criminals. So, it was part of taking care of everything. We have to have that too. So can't just arrest the bad guys. We want to make it livable for other people too. So we thank them for that, and we're here to help them now, so they can get back to doing their work. Signs in the right of way. Let us know if you're seeing an increase of signs, people leaving real estate signs, or just any kind of advertising sign. We tend to leave up the school sports and summer camp stuff because I know that's important. We just ask that please don't attach it to city property or put it in the right of way. We are picking those up when we can. So If you see those and they're distracting, report them. We're happy to take care of it. And that's really all I have. Does anybody have any, sidewalks, their sidewalks are still gonna be a big issue. We are getting around. So if you see uplifted sidewalks, report it to us. We're happy to go out and evaluate and start a case. So if anybody has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer anything.
So you raised an interesting question with regards to signs. So when we used to do our NACs in person, we used to have some large boards that we used to put. There's one on, I can't remember, 100, can't remember which one it was, but it borders our property, 125, I think it is.
Okay.
And we used to put it on the island between, as you go down the hill. And that's where we used to put it so people driving in and out of the area could see it. So we didn't even think about whether that's a code violation. It was typically only up there for a couple of days. We only put it up for the week of it so people driving in could see we had a meeting. So is that something that we should be careful of?
That is okay. We won't be taking NAC meeting signs. We understand that that NACs have a partnership with the city, and we're not trying to. We know that they come up and they come down. So
Right.
we're not worried about those. The ones that we get are the ones that are advertising junk hauling or lost animals, and we do feel bad for the families who've lost animals, but at the same time, people tape them up with all kinds of things and tape them to the city sidewalk or the city light posts and the electrical boxes and everything, and it tears up the paint and ruins the boxes, and it causes more damage. And then people who have real estate signs out, they put them out there and then they leave them out there. And I understand it's advertising, but at the same time, it's a nuisance just to have it stuck in the ground where it can be a trip hazard or something like that.
Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying that. I'd never thought of that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Kevin before we move on? So Elena, if you would like to give us the city update.
Yeah, so I have the February update. The first thing is there is an update to Beaverton's community vision, which is one of city's guiding tools to help inform city priorities, and that is underway. The community vision is a citywide project with input from community members that provides a framework for helping to determine what kind of community we want for the future. So the Visioning Advisory Committee, the VAC, is a volunteer group that leads outreach efforts in the primary office.
Can you bring it down?
And
Sorry,
accountability partners for the plan. The current update consists of outreach to community members, surveys, virtual and live events, and other participation. And goals include involving the city's population in the process, a focus on intentional outreach to traditionally underrepresented groups, being responsive to the changing needs of the community, and developing a final product that will be useful for city council and staff. The original community vision plan was adopted by the city council in 2010, and the latest update in 2016 included 5 goals and 104 actions. Milestones are compiled and shared each year. And the 2016 vision realized and inspired many city projects that have been completed or are currently in development. The current update will reflect outcomes that will inform the city's vision in a new and different way. And there's a link for that, and I'll send all the links after the update. The second thing is Beaverton City Council election filing is underway. So Beaverton residents interested in running for election to the Beaverton City Council can obtain a candidate's filing handbook. The deadline in filing is Tuesday, March 8th at 5 p.m. 4 city council positions elected at large are open. Councilor positions 1, 2, and 5 will be nominated at the primary election and elected at the general election to serve a 4-year term. At the primary election, the 2 candidates with the most votes for each position will proceed to the general election ballot. If one candidate receives a majority of all votes cast, then that candidate alone is nominated to the general election ballot. The candidate with a majority of votes at the general election is elected. Councilor position 3 is a vacant position due to resignation with 3 years remaining on the unexpired term for this office, and candidates must be 18 years of age by the election date, a qualified elector of the state, and have lived in city limits 6 months prior to the election date. The candidates filing handbook with requirements for petitions and signatures can be obtained from the city elections office at Beaverton City Hall, or there's like a website as well. And then the primary election day is May 17th, 2022, and the general election will be November 8th, 2022. And then lastly, but not least, tune into city council meetings for discussions and decisions on important city topics. This month, agenda items planned include presentations on the Comprehensive School Resource Officer Review, Milliken Way Project, and the Downtown Equity Strategy Update. Work sessions include a review of legislative bills, capital improvement plan priorities, and reimbursement districts. The City Council will also review and discuss a 2-year strategic goals identified in late 2021, along with the priorities work plan. And the upcoming City Council meeting is the 22nd of this month. And there's also a website for the meeting agendas and minutes.
Thank you very much.
Question? Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I should know the answer to this. For the council position, the primary, essentially if nobody gets a majority, then the top like 2 candidates go to the general. Is that the way that works?
So it looks like at the primary election, 2 candidates with the most votes will proceed to the general election ballot. And only if 1 candidate receives a majority of all votes, that one candidate can be in the general election ballot again, I think. So I think that's the special elections if there isn't a majority.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I should know that.
It depends on how many candidates are running for each position.
Right.
So if only 1 candidate is running for 1 position, then
Great.
they would automatically go to the general election after the primary.
And how many positions are open on council?
4.
4.
1, 2, and 5 are open, and then 3 is like a vacant position with 3 years left.
Got it. That was probably Sensuchi year. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Okay, is there any other questions for Elena? Thank you very much for that good update. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course.
No other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much indeed. We'll move on to the next agenda item, which is Frosty, come Gary, come Debbie. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is the update for the Beaverton Committee for Community Involvement, BCCI. And usually it would be Gary giving this report. If not Gary, then Frosty. And since neither one of them are here, it's me. I sit on the BCCI as an at-large member. So and Frosty sent me his report, so I'm just going to read through it, but I can answer any questions. Bintu Fode Kimikai is the new chair for this calendar year. She took over from Lisa Russell. The city of Beaverton is redesigning its website and getting a software upgrade. And so that's all in process, and it will go live in April, I believe. So lots of changes there, making it more user friendly in terms of looking up information on the city website. We got a report from Kevin and other members with code compliance, same kind of presentation. So you've heard that, but they presented it to BCCI at our BCCI meeting in January. There's a new resource handbook that's available on the city's website for BCCI members. We have a lot of new members of BCCI, so that's available. I am assuming that you all got an information update about the online billing and payment change happening with the Water Bureau through the city. And that took effect the 26th of January. And so if you make an automatic payment, or you now have the ability to do that online, So doing that, you can set up automatic payment so that you don't have to worry about late payments, having your water shut off. And information about that new system is on the city's website. The mayor's annual State of the City address is March 29th at noon. And more details will be available about that. Be posted on Facebook, Nextdoor, and also on the city's website, as well as be distributed to NACs. And information was put out about the matching grant program. BCCI has a matching grant subcommittee. And when Lisa talks about the art project, that would be something that we might be interested in applying for or finding out more information about getting a matching grant to help with the cost of whatever that project might be. So that's it. Any questions?
Any questions for BCCI? So I have only one comment to make. I've been contacted by, I'm not sure if she's the chair of BCCI or where she fits in, but she's going around and talking to all of the NAC chairs and filling out a questionnaire. It's
Sharon Dunham.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's on BCCI. She's not the chair, and the former chair's name was Ellen Russell.
Okay, thank you.
Anyway, yeah, Sharon is now, I believe, working for the city in the
yes. Yep.
And so yeah, so she's just asking questions of NAC board members about their experience being part of the NAC and being a board member and training and brainstorming ideas for training and that sort of thing. Sharon is also on the Beaverton Arts Commission, and so she called me and we had a long conversation about the questions that she was asking. But when I talked to her about this, that we had discussions at our NAC about an art project, she said, have Lisa get in touch with me, because she said, in fact, I was just at the new resource center when they were installing a couple of the art things that will be part of that. So anyway, great resource, and she was really excited to find that we were talking about that. So,
and she's also an artist herself. She does glass, a lot of glass work. So that'll be really interesting. But yes, and I shared that, and thank you, Debbie, for giving us a better update. It's yeah, we had over an hour session, and it was really exciting of the opportunity of maybe having a couple of NACs working together on some projects to be able to make, fulfill the city commitment to the neighborhoods, but also to be able to share some of the ideas. So I think it's a great move, and we had a good session. Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Mm-hmm.
So Lisa, I know you came back to me afterward. I had to post the agenda out, but you came back afterwards. But I would like to spend at least a couple of minutes just gathering some of your thoughts. I've had some, I looked at the map. I think there's a couple of things that could be done. But I just wanted to know, do we need to kick off a subcommittee? You probably already got it done, but I just wanted to restart some of the stuff because we've been disconnected since December. So I thought it would be good to just start moving on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I haven't been able to take action with some things I've had going on in the last couple months, but I think that I think that the timing could be good to take action now, and then maybe look to have something, installed maybe in the summer, right? Which would be better timing with regard to the weather and all that. So one thing I did want to kind of decide today, if we could, I mean, I don't know that we have like a quorum, but I guess I'm not sure this needs to be like a formal vote anyway, is in our December meeting, Laura Becker, so the arts program manager for the city, she gave us like a ton of really good information. So I'm looking at my notes from that meeting, and I think one of the things that she said that I think we need to make a decision is talking about, is this going to be something that will be temporary, and not temporary like a few months, but she basically gave the two choices of like, you could do something that's like 2D or a mural, something like that, which would likely have about a 3 to 5 year lifespan. And then they would decommission it. They would actually like, take it down, you know, erase it. I don't know, but like take it apart at that point. Or would we want to do basically a sculptural type of piece of art that would definitely be more expensive, right? You know, to me, I think I lean more towards I'm okay with doing something that will be around for 3 to 5 years and that will likely be more doable for us. I mean, we're like, I mean, I'm certainly no professional in public art, and we're all volunteers. So I feel like I'm a little intimidated by the idea of the sculptural thing. If that, number one, takes a lot of like preparation and work and coordination, and then also it's like way expensive. If it's like thousands and thousands of dollars. So if, you know, everyone is okay with that, I think I'd probably like to tell Laura that, you know, that's the direction we want to move, which is probably important information before we pick like the actual site, because, you know, you can put a 2D piece of art or a mural in only certain places, right? So kind of trying to think about that. So does anyone have any thoughts on, you know, which direction they think we should go with that?
I have some ideas, but I'm going to let other people talk first. So, and David Saunders, Officer Saunders, when you're finished with those lights outside of your new center in Beaverton, maybe we could move them into the NACs and sort of move them around. I think that'd be quite interesting. But anyway, anyone with any other questions? So I like the idea of a 3 to 5 year, because I think if it's making a statement in our area, I think over time things change. And I think it's a great way to refresh it. Otherwise people become stale to it. You know, they've seen it for a couple of years. So I like the idea of having something that is more refreshable. You know, we can continue to update it and add things to it. I think that just with the way the city of Beaverton goes, where it is constantly moving and changing and growing, and I think that would fit well with the type of neighborhood environments that we live in. But what does anyone else think? I'm trying to inspire some thought or talk here. David, you're smiling. Come on.
Oh no, sorry. Debbie pointed this out to me, so I'll give her credit, even though I'm the one who posted it. You know, Fairview is now a sculpture that the world's tallest fork at 37 feet. And so, you know, we get a 38-foot tall fork. Anyway, sorry. That's just being a sculpture, you know. Anyway,
well, let's do something different. Let's do a 34-foot
or a knife,
knife.
because
yeah,
you know,
I was gonna say a
Beaverton is
knife.
on the cutting edge of, you know, something.
And then we could twin the two cities together, and then we'd have a knife and a fork. All we got to do is look for another city that will do a spoon of the same size.
Sorry. I thought it was pretty funny, so that's why.
But David, I think you and I have the same sense of humor. But
yeah.
Yes, I thought, yeah. But no, something that makes it memorable and something that has some meaning, and especially in these days, brings a smile to people's faces, I think is also important. You know, well, what are we trying to do this for? Is it not to just cheer people's life up? So
yeah, I mean, that's exactly where I was coming from. So something, you know, if it ended up being something on that kind of like lighthearted side, you know, I think that would be great. I want to, I know you're not actually suggesting like exactly what we do by sharing that, but I would want to, you know, obviously give the artists like a fair bit of, you know, leeway in deciding what they are going to create. But yeah, I mean, that definitely was my mindset of just like, how can we bring, you know, joy to our neighbors, and just something simple and, you know, that really improves like just, you know, your actual neighborhood, you know, that kind of hyper local experience. But Mike, I loved what you said. I didn't even think of this before. So the idea of if we kind of kept it going, right? So it would be decommissioned in its in its current form after 3 to 5 years, but then we did something new, like we did something else with it, that would be awesome. And then it could kind of become, you know, part of what the NAC does and something that's ongoing for, you know, many years. That would be really cool.
I'm wondering if it's if there's some connection or like working with the art program at Southridge High School, you know, an art student, because then, you know, in 3 to 5 years, there's going to be different students, right? But it's also, but like, you know, supporting a young artist in, you know, in development, but Southridge is in our NAC. And I think, again, you know, for the scope of the project, we're a residential neighborhood. It's not like, you know, the city plaza is in our NAC. And so, yeah, I would like to see us, you know, support a local artist, whether it's, you know, a high school student or, you know, someone who is trying to get established.
So Debbie, I'd like to add to that if I can. And this is why I wanted to do in this session is just have some discussion about it. But I love your idea, but if we join that with what Lisa was saying about getting these art professionals, if we actually really wanted to help with the schools, if we had a professional that would coach the school. And so here's a scatty-brained idea, but we're brainstorming. And if we know the rules of Intel brainstorming, don't criticize it, you know, just lay it out and see what happens. So I noticed that there is a long pathway, which is property owned land all the way down through the middle, down by one of the parks. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a long one. And I was thinking that, and I guess that it's not all paved, so it's not all good for putting things down. But I was thinking, again, out of the box, if we were to paint for a year, we paint something using the students from Southridge. They got out there and they painted something for a 50-yard stretch or a 50-foot stretch. And then the next year, the next grade of school could come and they paint the next 50 and the next 50. So we'd slowly move down. So we cover a part of that road. And then we could come, like, it's a bit like the Forth Bridge in England. When you paint the Forth Bridge, you start, and 5 years later, they get to the other end and they start again at the beginning, because that's how quickly the paint wears off. But I was thinking with that, the children then, when they walk down that path, would be actually seeing their class or their groups painting. And then the next year will be further down, and the next year will be further down. And then after 5 years, when the first paintings all beginning to wear off, the next class could start painting back down there. Something like that, not necessarily that's the way, but I thought that would be very good. And that would be something that could be done every year and would encourage the students that are doing art at Southridge. That's why I was saying joining the two together will be something that could be really encouraging for the students, because they get to show it to their parents and other students and everything else, and it would help build that type of community. An idea.
Yeah, thank you.
I really like that. I mean, I think that could be awesome. I guess, yeah, because I really like the idea too, Deb, of, you know, involving the art department. I guess I was thinking then, because like the funding for this, I figured would pay like the artist, right? Like the professional artist. So if we worked with the school, I guess I don't know exactly how that would work. But then if we brought in, Mike, like you were saying, a professional artist to like lead the project and we paid them, you know, then that could work, which we might, you know, I guess we'd have to talk to the art department at Southridge to find out, but like they might say that we'd have to do that regardless, in the sense that the teachers don't necessarily have the bandwidth to like lead a whole outside of school project. So yeah, I mean, do we, does anybody like know anyone at Southridge? I have just like,
well, and
Richard does.
Connections there. Richard does, yeah.
Yeah, but also, you know, not necessarily like more as a resource. I know sometimes the schools have done a artist in residence type program with, you know, not necessarily visual artists, but I know that Michael Allen Harrison was an artist in residence years ago with Beaverton schools for, you know, for music. And I don't know whether, with Southridge right in our NAC, but we have, ACMA in the district too, which is a performing arts school. And so, just thinking about resources and I know, and I'm guessing that the gal from the city arts program, because I know that they do an art show every year, and but like, doing something on pavement, I know, down at First Street Dining, they did some sidewalk art that was really cool. And, and it was like, not designed to last forever, but it was, beyond just chalk art, right? Which we've done too. Yeah, the downside of a path is that it's not accessible to a lot of, like people driving by. It's like, oh, what's that? So, that would be the downside of something that was only accessible by pedestrians and bikers. So.
Yeah, I think though, regardless, honestly, based on and I meant to email, I have the map, so I will email that to everyone right after this meeting. But based on the map, like, it's probably going to only be something that can be seen by pedestrians and cyclists and stuff like that, because there's really not a lot of city owned property in our NAC. I mean, it's like small little plots, and really just like the path itself. So doing something on the actual pavement could be really great, except for, I do think that most of it is paved. Like the path that I'm thinking of is all paved, Mike, but some of it's really broken up, like right. Really worn and bumpy.
Well,
So
maybe this will be an encouragement that we could get the city to come and repave it. If it's
that'd be amazing.
That sounds like a code compliance issue.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I actually thought about that, but I think Kevin is in the other NAC meeting too. So I didn't know if he was listening into us right now, and I didn't want to give him a hard time. But I mean, if it is city owned, I guess it would fall under their purview.
I think too, it's because I know the path, it's actually I think the dividing line between South Beaverton and Highland NAC. But it runs from Sorrento west to 130.
Is that the one, or is it the one that's over behind Southridge High School?
Well, Lisa's talking about the Southridge High School path, but
yeah.
But in terms
of
resurfacing, they just resurfaced it within the last year or so.
Oh, okay.
So I think they're on a schedule of when they get resurfaced.
Hey, I was just the other thing I was wondering. I don't know if you can still hear me. There's some noise in the room, but the budget that we were planning to use for this is our regular annual budget. Yeah. So I think we were thinking that this was going to be as an alternative to the movie night in the park. Is that or not? No. Did we have to do fundraising for this separately?
Not necessarily. I mean, the thing was we couldn't do that event last year, and I guess we're still waiting, actually, not to derail, but Elena, you don't have any update on that yet as far as if we're going to be allowed to do anything like that this summer?
I've asked a couple of times and Miles has said, nah, they're not going that way yet. So okay, the thing is, we'd have to start planning now to be able to do something in the fall. So it's probably not going to happen this year either, which
sorry, I think it's reminding myself of the money side. So this is great. Let's go all in. Let's do it. Yeah.
So but the thing is, David, we could we also have the option possibly of applying for a grant that Laura told us about in the December meeting called oh yeah, there's the map. Thanks, Mike. It's the Art Lives Here. So it's like a specific grant for placemaking for art. So we may be able to get a grant just for this, so this wouldn't eat into our regular grant or regular budget.
So this is the path that I was thinking of, the one that goes all the way down through here.
Yep, and that's the one that I was talking about. Yep.
Right. So that's right in the middle of our NAC. So I think from that aspect, it's really, it could be really useful, and then it continues down across here. But anyway, I just wanted to show you that these are the areas. So we have the one which is up here at there's a playground at the top left-hand corner. There's one down in the front here, which I don't think we can do anything with. And then there's one over in the far corners over here. So as Lisa was saying, there's not a lot that we can do, but this one right in the middle could definitely be what we could call it a centerpiece of involving all of the NAC people. So, but anyway.
Does somebody have a question for code? I'm sorry, Elena, you had mentioned something in the chat.
Well, we were just talking about there's a path. Can you see the picture that I'm showing?
Yeah.
So there's a path down the middle here. And we were looking at doing an art project. We're working with Miles on this. But one of the question was, the path down here is quite rugged in places, even though it's paved.
Mm-hmm.
And we were jokingly saying that, well, maybe this is a code issue, that it's not safe and it should be repaved by the city. Because if they repaved it, we can then use this as part of our art project.
Yeah.
So we were just wondering if this is part of the code requirements to make sure that it doesn't have great big potholes that people can fall over on.
Yeah, that
this
you know, send me the. I've left all my contact information in the chat. Send me this image if you can.
Yep, I will do.
It looks. I have a very unique background where I worked for Beaverton Police Department for 3 years as a reserve. I was also Park Patrol for THPRD for 5 years. So I know the area fairly well. I'm a Beaverton graduate as well. I was raised here. That looks like a THPRD path, in which case I think that they would be monitoring the surface of that. But send me that and I can look into that. I'm happy to check with the crews, that the landscape crew, like our landscape team, and see if that's something that they handle. Because if they do, then yeah, we would absolutely go back and try to make it safe as much as we can.
Okay.
Yeah, Kevin, this map is
Sure.
from the city. Just real quick,
And why
this map is
why
from
are
the
those
city
areas green?
because they're city owned. Yeah.
These are
so
the
this-
areas where they're owned. Yes.
Yeah, so that's what we asked Miles to have the mapping team. I don't remember what the name of the department is, but we asked Miles to have the department at the city create a map of our NAC highlighting the city owned property, because we knew that the only place we could put art would be if it was city owned. We can't just put art on someone's property. So
right.
So the green is actually city owned. Now I don't know the ins and outs of THPRD, because there is a THPRD park down here, a very small one, but there's a sign that's a THPRD sign that's their park. So I don't know the ins and outs of the exact responsibility, but if the city is responsible for paving this, and there would be any possibility of getting it improved because of this initiative, that'd be amazing. I'd be so thrilled, because I used to take my stroller on that path, and it's not stroller safe anymore. It's rough.
Right. Yeah, let me send me this, Mike, and I will absolutely look into with our landscape crew and see if that's something that we do we in fact repave those or resurface those? How does that work? What's the process for that? I will look into that for sure, and I can get back to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
So Elena, you're going to have to help me. How do I stop sharing this? Because I can't see a button anywhere. Stuck forever. Oh, there we are. It's stopped sharing now, isn't it? Oh, good. Thank you. It's one of those things you do in technology. You think, well, I can't find the out button. No. All right, thank you. So Lisa, do you have anything else you wanted to review? And I think we probably need a sub-team if we want to get this moving. I don't think we can successfully do it in the NAC meetings, but I think we should be able to do like we did with the summer event in the park. And that is to just have sub-meetings where we can work through it.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I mean, the next step, the thing we really need to do is Laura was going to come out she was gonna like meet me at the path. So I need to set up a time for her to do that. So what I can do is email her and I can just copy you, Mike, and we can get it out there when I'm going to meet with her. And if other people want to come, we can do that.
Well, copy all the board members, because I think it'd be
Okay.
good. Anyone who wanted to be part of it. And
Sure.
while we've got everyone here, just trying to put a little positive tension on this, does anyone else want to be part of this program? Because at the moment, I think this is all we're going to be able to do this year, because I don't think we're going to get our movie in the park again. So does anyone else want to team up with Lisa and help work on this?
I'd be willing to, but I have a question about, are we giving up on a shredding event?
No, I'm going to be talking about that one later. So yeah,
Okay.
we're going to be doing shredding as well. So Debbie's going to join us then. Anyone else? Okay, so it's just you, me, and Debbie.
Thanks, Debbie.
And we'll do what we can do. And maybe we can bring David along. We'll bring some fish and chips or something. He seems to enjoy eating out. So
Excuse me. A nice Pinot Noir.
we can always bring one of those as well, but you can't walk and drive.
I'll
drink
be
and
the one
drive
bringing
and
the
stuff.
wine.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as you don't whine all the way, we'll be okay.
Oh my goodness. That's
I'm
good
sorry,
humor.
you asked for
That's
these
really
jokes.
funny.
So.
Really funny.
Okay, but thank you, Lisa. Let's move on to the next piece then. Okay, losing my agenda because I'm writing on the back of it all. So planning. So this was the next thing that we wanted to talk about, and we are dead on schedule. Look at that. I said 7:32. We'll be talking about planning for 2022. So. So what do we want to do, folks? I do want to do the shredding event. I keep on making the commitment to go and talk to the church, because I think the church in the middle of our NAC is the best area to do it. So I will go and do that. I think everybody else has been telling me the same things. Things have been crazy since December. Just life has just been over crazy. But I do need to do that. I want to start getting this ready for the March meeting to discuss the final plans for it. I know they do have a food pantry. So one of the things that we can talk about is do as they've done in other shredding runs. If you come and shred, you bring food for the food pantry, which is the incentive for them to help us, because they will get an influx of food to be able to do the shredding as well. So apart from that, what else do we think we could be doing? Nothing? So I have a question then for Kristal. So one of the things we were discussing at the BCCI questionnaire was, how do we increase our involvement and how do we get the message out there about the NAC? And one of the things that we talked about was the possibility of, when people move into houses in the area, they used to get a package. And this was something she mentioned years ago, but I'm not sure if we do anything at all. But do you think, from the realtors side of things, that if we were to contact the realtors in our area, whoever they may be, they'd be interested in taking a package and giving it to people when they move into the area?
Sorry, to figure out how to unmute. Maybe I mean, that's really hard, because there's, obviously a handful that works in this area, but there's plenty of houses that get sold by agents that don't work in the area. So it would be almost impossible to, get that out to everyone, other than, as listings come on, then someone being responsible to send something to them and ask them to send it to the people that actually move in.
So that was something that I was going to talk to Miles about, because we have a programs office that can do those types of things. That maybe if we can generate the package or the interest in the package and then get them to be part of posting it out. Remember, we have a postal budget that we used to send out for the movies in the park, and they would send that out. So there's a good possibility that if we were able in some way either to get the names and addresses or what have you, then we could work a program that would send it out. I know this is all just brainstorming at the moment, but I think it would be really good. And we could talk to some of the companies in the area. We've done this before when, like the people that came to do the coffee. This is combining some of our business in the park stuff. You know, if we talk to the coffee people that came, what were they called? Lisa, can you remember?
Lionheart?
Yeah, Lionheart Coffee. Bunt cakes, because there's a new bunt cake place, I think now in the shopping mall where Safeway is on Murray and Shoals. They could give their brochure, they could give the some discount vouchers or something. And so it would have more in it than just, this is what the NAC's about, this is what we're doing, this is who your contacts are in this area. And that would then be something we could work with the rest of the NACs, and they could start doing the same thing in their areas too. So we could cover the whole of the Beaverton area. And if there's realtors that are in the area that get involved in it, that's great. For the ones outside, well, they lose out a little bit, but I think it's a program that could be really interesting. And the person, again, Debbie, the person that was asking those questions, I can't remember. Sorry, you're muted.
Sharon Dunham.
Oh, Sharon Dunham. She said that when she moved in the area in 1985, I think it was, she got a package. And it was, she said it was good to introduce you to a brand new area. So I know there's a lot of people moving into the area from out of state. So it will be a great way of introducing them to how great Beaverton is. So
I was gonna say there's kind of a roundabout way of doing it as far as the title companies. They very easily can make a mailing list for us with people that just moved in the area. But I mean, they need to have a category of what they're searching for. So, and it would have to be updated however often, and it would end up just being, like you said, like one of those postcards that got sent out like for the movie event. So it's not quote unquote a packet that they get right when they move in. I don't know exactly how you would do that, but as far as being able to pinpoint and only mail a postcard to people that have moved in the neighborhood within the last 6 months, like I could get you a list of that.
Okay.
And then
but I think
to update that list and send out another one.
Do you work with any other realtors in the area?
Of course, yeah.
I didn't mean that as I don't know how your business works.
Oh yeah,
so,
I mean we
but
all
you could get involved with them and collaborate with them and say, hey, here's some packages from our NAC, and you could do the same if they work in a different NAC. So we could tailor it to the individual NACs. So it's brainstorming. I'm not saying that we're there yet, but I'm just trying to think of a way of improving both the outreach and getting the message, because one of the things that was mentioned in our discussion is so many people, when you talk about a NAC, a neighborhood association committee, you know, it's too much like a HOA, you know, and they look at it like that and they don't want anything to do with it. But I think if we can get the message out there in a way that improves that visibility, because we talked about the fact that at the moment, the only way people get involved in an NAC is when someone's going to build a monstrosity in someone's back garden and they want to fight it. And that's the only way they get into it. So there has to be a more positive way.
Or traffic.
Or traffic,
calming.
yeah, traffic calming. But I think that's also another great way that you could put into just, you know, we could, here are the, did you know that there is a traffic light group in Beaverton that control the traffic lights that work for the city? And if you have problems with them, if you ever ride a motorbike, a number of the sensors in the roads do not trip the sensors when you pull up on a motorbike. You could sit there all day and the lights would never change. So if you call these people up, they will go and fix that for you. So there's a whole bunch of people in the city that could help people that move into the area, and it's a way of getting that involvement with the city and just increasing
I think
our reach.
I think there's a lot of I think information about the library, right?
Right.
Not only the main library, but the Beaverton Shoals branch or the Murray Shoals branch. It's not in our NAC, but it's the closest to our NAC.
The same with the
I think-
Beaverton centers, the place to go and eat. They've done all that work
Right.
down in revitalizing the center of Beaverton. If someone moves into the area, they probably don't know where that is, and that could also be part of it.
Right.
Even if it's a 3D scan that takes them to the website, if we're rebuilding the website where people can find it easier, maybe it's just a card with a 3D ID on it, and they scan it, and it gives them all that information.
Right.
Just some ideas, and I think that's something we as a NAC could get involved in, because we have some expertise in with you, Kristal, in the realtor business, that we could get a lead into that.
Yeah,
I
and
think utilizing Nextdoor too is an opportunity, like
Right.
people, so-and-so joined Nextdoor and they're in South Beaverton, and the South Beaverton neighborhood on Nextdoor is the same as the South Beaverton NAC. So, and we have a pretty big NAC geographically, and it's, primarily residential, almost exclusively residential, other than schools and rec centers and fire
A couple of
stations.
shops.
And also home businesses. I think there's some home-based businesses that are in the neighborhood, computer repair or whatever. And I know that Nextdoor has their help map that you can, put yourself on. But even, the potential to break up the neighborhood, to have, like say, hey, I'm going to take, the north section of the NAC. And when somebody new moves in and, they join Nextdoor or whatever, that it's hey, welcome to the neighborhood, and, here's this information. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I think, and I also mentioned to Sharon in my conversation with her, was having information about the NAC program at the opening of the research center in March.
Right.
To, just for visibility. Because I think that's going to be a big draw for people who live in Beaverton as well as outside the area. But, just an opportunity to say, hey, do you know what NAC you live in? And are you aware of the NAC program? And so,
right.
Yeah.
So Kristal, you were going to say something?
Yeah. Once again, it's not like direct contacting them, but kind of how when we had the summer fair, we advertised on Facebook, and so you can make an ad and trigger it to only go out to people within a certain area. And so obviously not everyone moving in the area, necessarily goes on Facebook, but it's also letting people know that already live around here that, hey, this is here and what we do, kind of thing. And it literally just triggers, the place that you're wanting it to go to, the people that live in that area.
Yeah.
And it's
I think,
fairly cheap.
Yeah, and I think what Debbie was saying, and you mentioned about the business in the park, the whole purpose of that was where we have local businesses in our NAC area, we should be able to advertise it and share that with people. Say, hey, you want a local realtor, you want a local glass maker, for special gifts. Here are the people in your particular area. This is good conversation. Hopefully you can begin to see some of the inspiration of trying to do some of this. This is something we could also do this year. And I don't want to overcommit ourselves, but I can imagine that if we can get a list like Kristal was mentioning, maybe we hand deliver. I'm playing off of what you said, Debbie. If you take the north part of the NAC and we take the south part and what have you, if someone moved into an area and someone took the breakout of the NAC, we could hand deliver these packages rather than posting them. So we'd have, you know, we give 10 to every person, and when they get an email to say this person's just moved in the area, we go knock on the door and give it to them. Because I think that gives them this personal represent. Hey, I'm part of the South Beaverton NAC. Here is the package about the city and all the things that the city can do. And here's some vouchers and coupons for some of the local restaurants and what have you. And just make them feel welcome. And I think that would definitely be something we could do. And for you, Kristal, you could carry a package with you whenever you sell a house or involved in that. You could just give it to them, say, you know, this is for you now that you've moved into this area.
Well,
anyway.
and also, I mean, for, like I said, the fact that there's so many different realtors selling houses within our NAC, I mean, we could, like you said, have a handful of the packets, and like last weekend, there's an open house, and, you know, I walked through the open house. Like any of us could go to the open house and hand it to hopefully the listing agent that's there and say, you know, can you leave this at the home for the new owners? This is telling them about the NAC and the neighborhood they're about to move into.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I think so.
I mean, the fact that there's so little inventory, you're not going to be doing a lot of it. You know,
no.
Very far and few between right now, unfortunately.
And so Lisa, sorry, I was going to just target you with something. It would be great if you could do this for Sterling Point. So when people move into Sterling Point, you have a package and go give it to them.
Yeah, know? I would love to do that. And my neighbor works for Prime, the property, you know, owners management company. And she's been at a couple different properties recently in Beaverton that are also owned by Prime, but now she's back at Sterling Point. She's the assistant manager now. So I have that connection with her. I can definitely talk to her about this. I don't know exactly, like from a kind of privacy perspective, like if I could like deliver it, but if we could just have it where we give them, you know, these kits, and then anytime, you know, somebody new rents, they provide it to them. And then it sounded like you were saying one of the things inside of it would be like information about the NAC and contact information. Right. So that would be awesome. Like I would totally be up for that.
And I think that could also involve the police department. So you can have the non-emergency police number. You could put in where the fire station is and those types of things that when you move into an area, you don't necessarily know where everything is. So that could be quite useful. And I think it's just making people feel welcome when they come. It's like, hey, everything I need is here. And especially if we get some of the restaurants to do some, come and visit us as you're new to the area, we'll give you 10% off or something. Here's a $10 voucher. That would also help the businesses in Beaverton be part of it. And again, it could be one of the cross NAC things that we could do. So all the NACs could run a program that would then help all of the different NACs. Whenever anyone moves to Beaverton, they get something very special. Thoughts? Anyway, we're almost out of time. So we have one other thing on the agenda before we do the financial update. And I don't want to deprive Debbie of being able to give us this wonderful magic number. So we'll definitely move forward on that. Gary Cook, as everyone knows, he's been a very faithful member for us here, and he's brought all the BCCI, very much like Frosty has. He called me the other day and says because of some health issues that he's having, he's actually retiring out of doing the BCCI role. I talked to Miles. Miles said we can elect somebody to do BCCI primary. Frosty says he's still happy to do the, I always get it confused, the assistant or the backup role. But if there's anyone else wants to think about, David, about becoming a BCCI rep, or we could sweet talk Debbie into doing the at-large and RNAC at the same time. I don't know how that would work.
Deb and I did talk about it, but I mean, you know, I hate to think that, you know, there's a meeting she's going to that I don't get to go to. No, actually, I don't want to. If there's someone else that really wants to do it, I mean, I think I'd probably be interested. Yeah, it sounded like I mostly, or if it's a help to the city, or you know, that it's a help to our neighborhood, then yeah, I think it sounds like a good thing to do. But
I'm not trying to force anyone into it, but we're getting limited on our numbers of how many people we can actually rope into this. So
yeah, I mean,
but no, if you are interested, if not, please.
I don't like to concentrate too much stuff in one household. You know, they don't want us to.
No, but you can talk about all this business together, so you can be more effective for our NAC than everyone else. You know, if you could,
okay.
But no, as a serious thing, please consider if you're interested in becoming a BCCI rep. We'd much appreciate it. Debbie, I don't know how it works with you with being at large, whether you can actually represent a NAC at the same time, and I don't know how long your at large continues to run, whether you will have to be re-elected into that.
I just got chosen, elected, not sure what, anyway, approved to a 3-year term that just started in January. So I had served as an at-large alternate for 2 consecutive 1-year terms. And then I reapplied and was named to an at-large, not alternate 3-year term. So, but I don't know about, you know, when I was the alternate, I wasn't a voting member.
Right.
But now that I'm not an alternate, I'm a voting. And so I don't know whether I could vote twice, but that would be the only.
Okay. So here's the deal, David. If you wanted to actually be the BCCI, we're already part way through the year, so you'd only have to do it for 8 months. And if you didn't like it, if you couldn't get on with Debbie for any reason, you could always sort of drop out in December, and we could find somebody else. But okay. Enough rubbing for you. Let me know if you're interested in it, and we'll then have to set up a special session to vote you in. But you know, we do need someone to represent. You raised a very good point, Debbie, about the voting status. We'd be at a disadvantage if they didn't allow us 1 vote per group. So anyway, okay. So Debbie, it's the final thing of the meeting. So yeah, we definitely need to know what those numbers are.
The checking account balance is $7,649.22.
Well, thank you. Wonderful.
With US Bank. So
yes. Which means absolutely nothing, you know. Okay. And the interest on it was 0 because it's not in an interest account. At least we could have gained some pennies.
I have a question as far as when you guys were planning on doing the shredding event.
The which? The shredding event?
When?
Okay. Yeah. So I'm hoping to bring something together for the next meeting in March, and it will probably be sometime in April.
The event would be in April?
Yes.
It's probably somewhat contingent on when the church is agreeable to let us use their property. when they don't have something in. Because April is like Easter and all those kinds of things. So what else is on their calendar? I'm assuming we're looking at doing it on a Saturday.
Yes. Yeah.
So
basically it's at least a couple of months out from now, is at least, but I until I talk to them, I won't know.
Okay, just curious.
But we are doing it. I keep making that commitment, but I'm not going to let it pass. We'll try and do it before June.
There is also the possibility of partnering with Greenway. I know Highland just did one not too long ago, but partnering with another NAC, even Neighbors Southwest or whatever is across Murray from us.
Right.
And, which may open up other possible venues if we partnered with another NAC. So.
Okay. And Debbie, you were going to be part of this sub team, weren't you? Was there anyone else? I can't remember now. I'd have to go through the notes.
I thought it was maybe Frosty. I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will send something to Frosty and you. If anyone else wants to be part of the shredding thing, just drop me a line and say, yes, we'd like to do that.
Is that like a big truck that people?
Yep.
Yeah,
It's a big machine that you throw it in and they shred it to pieces. So
and
Right
you
there on
basically
the
set
top.
up a drive-through. Highland did theirs at the church on Hall Boulevard, just down the street from the Public Safety Center. So you don't have to get out of your car. But
You
that
just
was
drop-
also an opportunity. They sent out postcards. They tried to limit it to just people who lived in the Highland NAC. But since it was on Hall Boulevard, I think people drove by and saw what it was. But they also, gave out information about this is put on by your neighborhood association. And so.
yeah, another opportunity for the pack if we had one.
Mhm.
So is there any other open matters before we close? We've got 4 minutes left before we close. Elena, do you know how we get the chat details off? Because we got all these links on the side, but I think when we close the session, do we lose all of that?
I think that I can generate a report to download all the chat after. Is there like an email address that I can send it to?
Yeah, if you send it to me and I'll send it out. So it's mike.alner@gmail.com.
Okay, Mike.Alner.
Alner@gmail.com. Yeah, you have it when they
Okay.
send out the Zoom meetings. But if you could do that.
Supposedly, if you're on a PC, you can open up the chat window and there's an ellipsis and you can click on that and it
Oh, save chat.
tells you to
Great.
save. I can't do it on the iPad, but
Right.
apparently on a PC you can do that.
I don't know where it saved it to. It saved it, but I don't know where to. But there
It
we are.
might be in your Zoom app.
Oh, okay.
possibly.
Just to be sure, I'm going to do the Shift Windows S, which gives me the ability to take a picture of it because I know where it saves that. Okay. And then I can make sure that I can keep it. Okay. Well, thank you very, very much, everyone, for being part of this. I appreciate it, even though there was only a few of us. I think we had some good discussions. So, and David, thank you. I don't know. Do I call you Officer David or can I call you David or what would you prefer? I don't mean to be disrespectful.
No, Dave's fine. First name
Okay.
basis. Great.
All right.
Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
But I thank you for sticking through it and being through the whole session with us. We really appreciate your time and energy that you put into it very much. And
Absolutely.
Kevin, thank you for coming. And I will send that thing off to you very shortly.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll take a look at it and get back to you guys.
Okay, thank you so much.
I just had one quick thing.